What is going on, guys? My name is Tigo. That is my good friend Kevin. Welcome back to the Tactical Foul. We are so excited because Champions League Match Day 1 is done and in the books. And oh my gosh, some of us are very happy. Some of us are not so happy. But what a set of games. And obviously we got the new format. We got a whole bunch of new things. But you know what? Before we talk into that, Kevin, my friend, how are you doing?
Awful. To say the least, I am doing awful. I shouldn't even be wearing this jersey, but I am because no matter what, I'm always going to be a Barcelona supporter. But damn, was that a horrible game. It was a tough watch. Anyway, I don't want to get into the game yet. Before we get into the game, I genuinely want to talk about this format because I want to get that out of the way before we start getting into the games because we're going to spend a lot of time talking about each one of these not all of the matches, but
Of course, no, there's too many.
There's too many. But I do want to get into, before we get into the matches and the crazy parts of it all, I'd like to talk about this new format, man. What do you think? You were telling me earlier.
I'm not a
You were
fan.
giving me some thoughts about it earlier.
I'm not a fan of the new format. And I know I know what a lot of people are going to say. Oh, you're not a fan of the format because of insert whatever reason, insert whatever Real Madrid reason that they can come up with for me not liking it, blah, 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 blah. No. It has nothing to do with me being a Real Madrid fan. And it has everything to do with, well, if I'm being honest, a couple of the games I saw today from teams that I absolutely despise. For example, Barcelona-Monaco. That game today was really interesting. I'm not going to say good because you guys got a red card in 10 minutes, but we're not talking about that game. Arsenal-Atalanta. From yesterday's games. PSG-Girona. Man City-Inter. And then from 2 days ago, we got to see Liverpool-Milan. These are games that are really, really good games. But more importantly about these games is that they gave us something. And what I mean by that is there was something in those games that we could walk away with, which is just like, if we were in a standard format, we could say, well, what happens when Liverpool went to Italy and beat Milan in Italy? What are they going to do when Milan has to go to Anfield? Or vice versa. Inter went to England and held Man City to 0-0. What's going to happen in the reverse leg or like today talking about the Barcelona game?
The rivalries.
The rivalries are gone. We're not going to see this matchup again.
Games, we're not going to see that anymore, and that is very disappointing. I 100% agree with you. Here's my thing about it all. What I hate and is just they're starting to get ridiculous with the amount of games, man. There's too many games in this new format. And it's just too prolonged. And yeah, like we don't get to see the rematch games. We don't get to see the home and away. And that's a big problem, man. That's a big mistake on UEFA's end. And it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. And I agree there. I feel like there's too many games. I don't like the whole like table format. I liked it when it was in groups. That way there was, like you said, the rivalries, the home and the away games. And then, it kind of kept it like World Cup-y in a way because that's how the World Cup kind of works. And now it just looks like one big league table.
I don't even hate the table part of it. But the thing is that there are teams that don't there are teams that have no business being in the Champions League, and they are, and 100%. We saw that, and transitioning a little bit into some of the games. Like, I'm not going to sit here and harp on it, but like we do have to talk about it. It's just like, I think a perfect example of this is like now with there's too many teams is the Bayern Munich versus Dynamo Zagreb game. Because Bayern Munich went out there and dropped 9 on them. 9 on Dynamo Zagreb. And I know that you and I, one of the things that you and I were talking about, one of the things that you and I even mentioned on the podcast and our texts and things like that is, well, like Vincent Kompany needs to make this a statement game. Right? Because everybody was questioning that hire. And for them to go and...
We were really skeptical on Vincent Kompany and him coming into Bayern Munich. And both of us were. And it was definitely a statement match.
Absolutely.
Sure. I agree 100%. 9 goals. I mean, that's a ridiculous just number. They did let in 2 though, so I mean, we gotta kind of.
Yeah, but when you're just flying forward, just trying to score as many goals as possible, to let 2 in, like Harry Kane scored 4 goals.
Yeah.
Well, at least they scored 2. It's an insane amount of goals.
I mean, it's what put them on top of the table because they got that huge goal, 7-goal difference. Now.
It's insane.
So it gives them a huge advantage going into this. Yeah, what a match! What a match for Bayern Munich. And Vincent Kompany. The few things that I've seen from him is he's a very hard coach.
Yes.
He's the kind of coach who's screaming in your ear. I know most people who watch football have seen that clip of him just screaming at one of his players, like literally screaming at him, screaming bloody Mary at him. I don't know. It was bad. And he's a very tough manager. And so
he expects and asks a lot of his players. And I think that he can do that because he was such a prolific player himself. He's not asking something from his players that he didn't do or that he wasn't willing to do when he was a player.
I think a big thing for coaches who, and I read Johan Cruyff's book. I read his book on his autobiography. It's called My Turn. If anybody ever wants to go and Amazon it. He talked about whenever he started coaching, like one of the big reasons he got into coaching was because when he started, he liked to play with the players. He was the guy that was like the neutral. And that way he could see where exactly his pieces were going wrong. And I feel like that's a big thing for coaches. And for Vincent, I feel like he's the kind of coach that probably plays along with his players to kind of see where they're making mistakes, where they're leaving gaps, and especially him as a center back who was able to just kind of visualize how they were playing from the back. And so I feel like that's very important. It's still early. I mean,
way too early. Yeah.
It's still early. We can't really define, anything yet. I think Bayern Munich played a freaking hell of a match, and it was just what it is.
But here's the thing, coming back to the conversation about the format. They played a heck of a match, no doubt about it. I'm not trying to take anything away from them. However, it's Dynamo Zagreb.
Right. Exactly.
And that's the problem. This is the Champions
100%.
League.
100%.
And we're getting Bayern Munich versus Dynamo Zagreb. And I think that's ultimately the problem. Now they'll get a better test their next match fixture, which is against Aston Villa. Another first day of match day 1 game. They won over Young Boys 3-0. I don't want to harp on it too much. I literally just brought it up because their next game is against Bayern Munich, but I am impressed that that Villa went out there and scored 3, and they looked like they dominated that game. I didn't end up watching a ton of it, but like from the stats, it looked like they kind of had that game under control from beginning to end. And so very interested to see how they're going to present a challenge against Bayern, because I think that matters.
Staying in the Bundesliga for a second, since we talk about Bayern, let's talk about Leverkusen's match. They played a wonderful match as well. And who did they play?
Feyenoord. They put 4 on them this morning.
4 on Feyenoord. That's impressive. That's impressive. I think they're staying strong. They haven't done well in the Bundesliga, however. And I know that I'm getting a little off topic talking about the Bundesliga, but they are having a sort of dip.
I wouldn't say that they're struggling in the Bundesliga. One, it's only been 3 games in the Bundesliga for them, and they lost 1 game against Leipzig in the 80th minute.
Apart from that, to play against Feyenoord and score 4.
Yeah, it's a statement game.
I'm not saying Feyenoord's an amazing team, but they're one of the best teams. I think they're the current champions of their league.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think that's impressive within its own, and it deserves merit for sure. And I'm excited to see Leverkusen in this competition this year.
They are not. They did not win the Eredivisie last year. PSV did.
But Feyenoord is one of the teams that
they ended second.
there. Yeah. Anyway, I think they won the year before. Not too
Again, when it comes to the Eredivisie, they're one of the best teams.
They're a
And
decent enough team to go in there and put up a good challenge to Leverkusen, and Leverkusen totally outdid them.
yeah,
And
dominated them.
that within its own is impressive, I think, and it deserves merit. Xabi Alonso's a great coach. We've talked about him many times, and I'm excited again. I'm excited to see Leverkusen again in this competition because I know they're gonna do well,
Especially with their next opponent.
I want to see how they perform with bigger teams that aren't Bayern Munich.
That's my whole thing. Their next opponent is AC Milan. And that's a much bigger team than Feyenoord. That's a team that has more funds, has a better squad. And so we're really going to start seeing the tests with Leverkusen. And now that we're talking about AC Milan, really disappointing performance from AC Milan against Liverpool at home. You know, this was at the Giuseppe.
Disappointing performance, but at the same time, we got to talk about Liverpool, man.
You have to.
About Liverpool.
Look,
man.
I don't even like Liverpool, but what Slot is doing with Liverpool.
It's ridiculous. And you were the one that pointed it out, and we talked about it in the last podcast because I hadn't really been watching Liverpool. But I started analyzing them a little bit more, and I got to say, man, and I told you this earlier, I am wowed by the way that they're playing because even though it's different to what Klopp did, it's similar in many ways. And I feel like he took what Klopp did and put it on steroids. You know what I mean? I don't know. To me, what they've been doing has just been playing very aggressive. That rock star type football that we used to see from Klopp, I feel like is back in a much different yet, bigger way.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's weird because when you watch Liverpool, you get feelings of Klopp, but it doesn't look like Klopp. That's like the best way to describe it is like it's almost like the instincts are the same from the player, but the tactics are different.
The intensity's
different. No, I think the intensity is different.
Intensity's different.
I think the intensity is different as well.
To me, the intensity seems similar, but the tactics seem different.
See, I could understand that. My thing is I think because the tactics are different, I might be perceiving that as a different set of intensity. You might be right there, but again, it's just Liverpool is playing exceptionally well, and not just in the Champions League by going out there match day 1 against AC Milan and scoring 3, but I mean in the Premier League, putting 3 on United, winning their games against Brentford and Ipswich. Dropping a game to Nottingham Forest was the most Liverpool thing I've ever seen in my life. That being said, you still see a team that is absolutely going out there and just they have fully embraced the Slot era, and you love to see it. They get a little bit of a break. Go ahead.
You know what's impressive is that they've adapted so quickly.
Yes. Dude, he had 2 weeks with that team.
There are teams with new managers that haven't adapted as quickly. I mean, even like Flick's Barcelona hasn't adapted completely to Flick's tactics. And even though they've been in form and they've done well, he hasn't implemented his style as much as Arne Slot has done with this team.
Yeah.
It's very impressive.
No,
It really
it's
is in such a short period.
They have this saying in American football. It's called teach tape. When a player does something exceptionally well on the field, you use it as teach tape. And whatever it is that Slot is doing in Liverpool should be teach tape for managers, because he had 2 weeks with his team, and to get them ready to go into the Premier League and to play this way and into the Champions League and to play this way with an international break in the middle of all that time. They have not played a ton of games. And to get this team playing this well under a new tactical system is incredibly efficient and productive. Their next opponent is Bologna. So, again, not a match that I think I'm all that excited for or that maybe we might care about, but it is a matchup to keep an eye on. Bologna's not a walk in the park, but they're also probably not going to end up being a challenge. But staying in Italy, Manchester City versus Inter Milan. What a game. What a game. City came out playing the way that City wanted to play. They were going to dominate the possession, and they did. They were going to create a ton of chances, and they did. But man, Inter Milan came out, and they said, we're going to do us. We're going to play our defensive style. We're going to hold the ball, and we're going to control the game. Inzaghi had this team playing like a well-oiled machine.
We're talking about a team that's in form here with Man City.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Like, to go out there and to take points away from Manchester City, that matters, especially in this new format, especially with it being a table, to get points where you can get them. Inter Milan is a team that can push City. We saw them in a Champions League final not that long ago lose to City. So I think this is a little bit of a revenge game for them, which I think matters. But I do want to say this. One of the things, we mentioned this earlier, one of the things that really I think cost Inter the game was the fact that they started Thuram over Lautaro Martinez. And I don't necessarily know what's going on.
Maybe he's got some sort of physical issues, following the Copa America and all that, maybe.
And again, I don't know if it's a fitness thing or whatever's going on. And I don't want to make speculations.
It's definitely concerning because, come on. He's your most important player in the attack, I think.
No, me too. That's the thing. Is again, I don't watch a ton of Inter, but right. you'd have to assume that Martinez is their most important player. Right. And there are a lot of opportunities that Thuram took that Martinez would have taken better, or that Martinez would have actually looked for the pass, and you would have looked to distribute better. And there were these things where you start watching and you're just like, dude, the things that Thuram is doing doesn't make sense, and Martinez would have done them better. And so that's the one thing that I will say on that front, which is really, really interesting. But Manchester City played their game, and Inter Milan said, that's fine. We're going to play ours. And to take a point away from them, I think absolutely, absolutely great. Both teams get to go away and have a really, really nice get-right game. Manchester City's next opponent is, I'm gonna attempt this one. A team that has no business being in the Champions League. Slovan Bratislava, I think is how you pronounce it. Slovan Bratislava. That's who Man City plays next. And then Inter Milan gets to play Red Star Belgrade. Two opponents that they should be able to beat. And so the table is starting to form and starting to really turn into some stuff.
That's the easy win. Easy win for Man City.
Should be for the both of them.
Should be. Yeah.
Should be
and so,
for the both of them.
I think that it's very, like I said, it's just very impressive to me that Inter were able to do as well as they did. And Inter are a great team already. But to do as well as they did with an informed Man City, because we're talking about Haaland has how many goals did you tell me?
I think it's 9 goals in like 4 games or something stupid. It's insane.
So you got an informed Haaland with an informed City, and to come out and do what they did was just, to stabilize them, because at the end of the day, they stabilized them, they stifled them, and that's impressive. I think that they did a great job. They Italianized them. They brought them back to the Italian level. They were like, you know what? You're facing the Italians now. Try to get past this wall. And
yeah.
City could not do it. They could not do it.
It almost felt like they went out there and they said, Pep, yeah, you were able to win in Spain. You were able to win in Germany. You won in England. But this is Italian ball, my guy. You haven't done it here. So this is what we're going to do. And we might be reading too much into it. I think I've waited long enough.
Listen, what?
I've waited long enough. Or I'm talking about them. I'm talking about Real Madrid. You can wait. I've waited. It's been 20 minutes. I've waited long enough.
You've been making me wait. I got to talk. Well, we already talked about Barcelona.
No, we'll get there. We'll talk about Barcelona, but there's no reason to, right? Because you guys didn't win. Real Madrid won. Real Madrid against Stuttgart, playing against Stuttgart. 3 goals.
Let me say my take because I know you're gonna go off.
No, I don't. I just
gotta
want to be
wait.
happy. I just want to be happy about my team. They went out there. They won. They looked good doing it in the second half. And yeah, I think there's still some things to work on, but Endrick scoring makes me very happy.
I'm gonna let you talk about Real Madrid, however much you want. I just want to kind of make my piece there real quick.
Go ahead.
I think Real Madrid went and did the job.
Yes, totally agree.
Real Madrid went and even though they didn't play, the match wasn't perfect.
Nope.
Stuttgart, we got to give credit to Stuttgart because they did an amazing first half. If it wasn't for Courtois, it wouldn't have been as good for you guys if it wouldn't have been for Courtois. And I can see
totally
why
agree.
He's definitely, no matter what, gonna be there over Lunin. And Lunin needs to go and find himself a new club.
Nope, he signed a new contract. He's staying.
I know, I realize that, but that was a stupid move on Lunin because he's a good goalkeeper and he is never. I am sorry, but he is, as long as Courtois is there, he will never play other than second-hand games. So it's unfortunate for him. He made the decision. It is what it is. He probably is getting a good buck. And I don't know why Real Madrid would waste money paying him a good buck when they have such a great goalkeeper in Courtois.
Well, because he got hurt last year. That's why.
Yeah, that's true.
He got hurt last year, and having a good backup is a good thing.
Madrid did the job. We've been talking a lot about their midfield that was lacking, but I think they looked a lot better when Jude got back. Because I feel like Jude now doesn't have to play as high up as he did before. Because now they have Mbappe and they have Vinny and they have Rodri. So he kind of gives that midfield some stability.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they looked, even though the first half wasn't perfect, because you're not going to get Jude. You're not going to get 100% Jude yet.
This is his first game back since, I think, week 1.
You're not going to get, exactly. You're not going to get 100% Jude yet. So if we want to talk about them not doing well in the first half, well, they're trying to. Jude is stabilizing that midfield because he's the one that kind of does the attack through that midfield.
Yeah.
And so.
And we saw that in this game.
You're not going to get 100% of him. But then in the second half, he started kind of feeling more comfortable. And he started making the passes that needed to be made. And I think Real Madrid did a good game. Not a great game, but a good game. Endrick. Great goal by Endrick. And look.
No. It's not a great goal. It's not a great goal.
Listen, I'm going to say this. I'm a Barcelona fan. I may be biased. But he had no pressure in this goal.
Of course not.
He had no pressure. He could have passed it, and it would have been a much better option. But you know what?
Take the shot, my guy.
The last minute, take the shot. You're trying to prove yourself in this team. Take the shot.
Totally agree.
Anyway, I'm going to let you go ahead and talk about Real Madrid.
I do want to just I think there's a couple of things that I want to mention. I totally agree with you. It's not the best decision from Endrick, but to see the fact that he has the confidence to take that shot in that situation, like you said, it's not like we needed that goal to win. We were already winning, and if it was a different game, if it's a different situation, if he takes that goal, if he takes that shot and he misses, am I going to be upset? Yeah, a little bit. I was upset at the time of the shot because I thought, dude, Vinny's to your right, Kylian's to your left. But to see the kid have the confidence to go out there and have the world's best left winger on his right-hand side, have the world's best striker on his left-hand side and say, screw it, I'm taking the shot from outside the box. I love seeing that confidence from him. I think one of the things that you mentioned was how Real Madrid in the second half really seemed to turn it around. And I think a big thing for that is Carlo is very, very much trying to focus on the defensive side of this team right now. We're trying to figure out what we're going to do with the center back group because the center back grouping is just so hurt right now. Alaba's still not back. Vallejo's dealing with something. Militao is dealing with something. The only center back that is healthy is Rudiger. And the reality is that Tchouaméni is also dealing with something. We don't have Camavinga back from his injury, so it's not like we can put him in the midfield. And with Jude coming back, you're not going to ask guys like Arda Güler and Brahim Diaz to play that far back down the pitch. And so you're in this weird situation of, well, do you play Tchouaméni in the center back role and then ask Valverde to play where Tchouaméni plays so that you can put Brahim? What do you do there? So I think we saw that in the first half. The decision to make Carvajal be the center back was a bad one. It was an experiment that we tried against Stuttgart, and it didn't work because I think Carvajal forgot that he wasn't a left back for the game. How many times in that first half did we see him on the top of the box and you're just like, dude, you're leaving Rudiger by himself? By himself. And how many times did Courtois have to come back and save us from that mistake? You know what I mean? And so one of the things that I really think stabilized the team and why you saw a much better second half Real Madrid was the fact that in the second half, we made the adjustment and we brought out Vasquez and we brought in Militao, and that's the thing to me that I look at and I go, that changed the game for Madrid because the midfielders weren't worried about the back. So they could go forward, and we weren't worried about the back because Militao and Rudiger back there really stabilized us, and it gave Carvajal the ability to do his job, and get and be a part of the attack and to do all of those things. So I really, really liked that move and that decision. But one of my new biggest priorities now in January is the Real Madrid needs to find a solution at center back. Whether that's a temporary solution, whether it's a long-term solution, I don't know what the answer is. I haven't looked into what might be available in January. But if we legitimately want a shot at the treble, we need to figure out something in the center back room. There needs to be another option brought in. And I hope that it's Alaba, but I'm not banking on a guy coming back from a major knee injury to be in that role. And so that is it. That's all I have to say about Real Madrid. Los Blancos won it. I'm very happy about that. I would be wearing my orange kit, which is what they use it, but it is in the wash. So can't do that because of that.
Well, we just saw you talk about a nice win from your team. I cannot relate. Okay, we got problems. All right, Barcelona, we got problems. All right, I want to know your thoughts on the match before I go on and rant about what I have to rant about. And so, what do you think? What did you think about Monaco versus Barcelona?
I thought you guys played well. Honestly, I think that that Ter Stegen wanted Monaco to win. That's the only explanation that I can have for that pass. Because Garcia getting the red card there totally makes sense. Why it's a red card. I also understand the decision that he made to, why he made that decision. But still, there is a fundamental issue with the team right now, and it comes back to the problem that you guys were having last year, which is health. Health. Because a healthy Barcelona doesn't have Inigo Martinez, Eric Garcia, Casado in the starting 11. They just don't. Is it Casado? Whatever. You guys don't have them in the starting 11 because Olmo's playing, because Araujo's playing, because Gavi's playing, because De Jong is playing. Like, this is the thing where it's just like the injuries that you guys have suffered have really, really affected you because now you're in a position where, well, as much as I love Kourbassi, we all know that the starting center back pairing that you guys would prefer to use is Araujo Christensen, and they're both out. We know.
I don't know if that would be the one we would use just because Flick is a new coach. That's the one.
But they're the best. They're your best center backs.
They're arguably the best center backs.
I think that would be. I think that your midfield trio.
Don't know what's going on with Araujo and the registration issues?
Yeah, but I think it's also it's really easy to think that your best midfield trio is probably Olmo, Pedri, Gavi. That's probably your best midfield trio. And so, you run into this situation where it's just none of those guys can play because of the injuries. You guys did just get Gavi back, into training. That's important. So he's going to be some help there. But losing Fermin, losing Olmo, losing Christensen, losing Araujo, losing De Jong, losing Gavi, losing Bernal, like it's a lot of injuries that you guys are suffering. And
Seven in total.
yeah, and I think that you guys have totally adapted well. I think Hansi Flick has done a good job in the situation to say, okay, look, I have a Ferris wheel in the central midfield, but it is a rotating door. It is a revolving door of people coming in and coming out, people coming in and coming out. But I'm going to make it work. And I think that he's found some stability in the front three, and I think that's the biggest takeaway. Rafinha, Yamal, Lewandowski have been playing exceptionally well together. That matters. But the back seven guys need to figure it out. That's the thing. You need to figure out the back seven guys. There can't be a revolving door up the middle of the pitch, and the guys need to get healthy. They need to get ready, and that matters. And so I think you guys played a good game. I think that the moment Ter Stegen handed Monaco the win, like Monaco went out there and played really, really well, but I don't think you guys played badly. And that's my Barcelona.
All right. I got to go on a little bit of a rant here. I won't make it too long, but I do have to talk about my team because this is important. And so, starting out the game, I think Monaco was doing well in transition. I think they started out really fast in the transition, and I'm going to get to how well they did at the end of the match because I feel like that's important. As much as I love my team, I got to give credit where it's due. Um, Ter Stegen, you have two guys right next. You have two options to go right next to you, and you pass it to the one man that
is it not open.
The decision made no sense to me.
No.
I don't know what his thought process was there. Maybe he did want Monaco to win. I have no idea. That was an awful, awful decision. And I hate to talk about Ter Stegen this way because I'm pretty sure he's our captain. But man, was just a horrible decision. And I can't even hate on Eric Garcia here because it's not like he was just defending. I mean, he was defending. He was being passed a ball that wasn't supposed to go to him in the first place. It was an awful mistake, and it's a shame because we were in such good form coming into this match. But Monaco made well of that. I think they did good in capitalizing on that mistake, and they played very direct football that I was not expecting at all.
Me neither, dude. They went at y'all.
They went at us with everything they had, and I think it was a good capitalization of the red card. So I got to give that credit where it's due. We had a lot of lazy defending moments where we were just late. We were up too high. We they got a Chelsea-esque counterattack to score to score the winning goal for them, and it was just not. I mean, yeah, we wanted to win. I get Hansi Flick's idea and wanting to win the game, but when you're with a man down like that, playing a high line is just too risky. Maybe it wasn't the smartest move, but I do understand. Now, I do want to bring some positives from it. Lamine Yamal, man, is that boy cooking? Okay, that's all I have to say about that. I mean, yeah, it wasn't a great match, but if I could take any positives away, I gotta say, man, Lamine Yamal is an impressive player for us, and I am just really, really keen on this man not getting injured. Having 7 injuries is a problem. Okay, hopefully we get Gavi back. I'm just so hopeful that we will get Gavi back because I feel like Gavi's going to be so important. I think that the biggest blow, and I told you this before, wasn't just losing Olmo. Olmo was a big blow. Fermin Lopez getting injured, that one hurt because I really was excited to see him kind of come up to take that position from Olmo. And another big reason why we even lost the game. I mean, yeah, Ter Stegen lost us the match, but Eric Garcia shouldn't even be playing in that position.
Nope.
He shouldn't be playing there. Who should be playing there? Gavi, and Casado, or Gavi and Frankie. Obviously, we're not going to talk about Frankie. He's injured. But Casado and Pedri should have been playing in those positions. And then you would have had Fermin or Olmo in the 10 role. But because we didn't have neither of them, then we had to play Pedri, which Pedri in the 10 role is fine. He plays that role. He didn't do well in this match, but he plays that role well. But to have Eric Garcia as that option, to have him there was just not the move. And I don't know why Ter Stegen said, you know what, let me pass the ball to a center back who's actually playing a mid when I have two center backs that are wide open right in front of me. Didn't make
Dude,
any
just
sense.
kick it away. Just boot. When in doubt, kick it out. Just boot it to the forwards.
He could have booted it and it would have been fine. I have no idea what his thought process was there. I don't know. And he made many mistakes throughout the match. It wasn't just that one. Ter Stegen, I don't know what happened to him. He looked nervous out there. Wasn't good. It wasn't a good showing for him. But like I said, I'm going to take away the positives here. Lamine Yamal played a hell of a match. We got to turn the page.
I want to ask a question.
And I think Hansi Flick did that.
I think so too. I want to ask a real quick question about Ter Stegen. Do you think that there's anything that might be that we don't know about Ter Stegen and Hansi Flick from the time when he was the manager of Germany? Do you think there's any? I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything. I'm just asking the question because I just made that connection. Ter Stegen's German. He was a German manager. Is there maybe something there?
Something's definitely. There's some sort of tension with the German players because to me it was very strange that Ilkay Gundogan decided to leave so abruptly. Like, I know that we needed to load the wage off, and that was kind of the deal, but he was very keen on staying in the beginning of the season, and then suddenly Flick comes in, and I don't know what it was. Maybe he had a disconnect with him, and maybe Ter Stegen's also having a disconnect with him because of the German national team kind of experience that they had together. Who knows? I mean, I'm not dinging it. I'm saying could be, because there is some sort of disconnect with Ter Stegen there. I don't know what his thought process was passing the ball like that. It's not like him. He's a very orchestrating goalkeeper from the back. And you know, there's a video that I saw way back when of him kind of dictating that, orchestrating those passes from the back, you know, finding Alba in open spaces back then when Luis Enrique was the coach in his early days. I don't know what happened there. I don't know why. It seems like he is a little bit disconnected. So I could be that connection that maybe in the German national team, maybe he doesn't like Flick. Maybe some of the German players just didn't like Flick, or maybe Flick, because he's German, he treats the German players differently because he doesn't want to make it seem like he's friends with them, or I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but
again, I haven't heard anything. I just brought it up because now that you mention it, there is a lot of weird things going on with the German players at Barcelona and the new German manager that just make you raise an eyebrow. But let's not make mountains out of molehills. Right. It's one game where you got a red card 10 minutes in.
I'm gonna take away the positives. Lamine Yamal is playing great, and I hope that he stays healthy. I hope that he stays healthy, and that's just about it right there. That's all I have to really say about that. Turn the page.
Yeah.
Turn the page. Next game, La Liga. Then the next game. Then the next game. Game by game.
The good thing is that your next opponent in the Champions League is Young Boys. That's a bounce-back game. You should be able to turn around. Young Boys are not a good squad, or they're not a team that are really going to push you. Real Madrid also get a break from what wasn't already all that challenging of a game. We play Lille next. I really only want to talk about two more games.
It's a break because I think Lille are actually not a bad team.
But they're not a good team either.
Right.
That's the thing I think is the point. And that's not me saying that they're a bad team. They're not a good team either, and I'm not worried about Lille. Maybe they shut me up and they go out there and they take a point away from us, or they walk away with a point.
I think Lille and Stuttgart are right there, and Stuttgart kind of gave you guys a good challenge today.
I think Stuttgart might be better than Lille, but that might be me holding Lille against the fact that they play in France, and that's not a real league, right? So Only other two games that I kind of want to talk about after just dunking on all of the French league. Atletico Madrid against RB Leipzig. What a game. 2-1 for Atletico Madrid. 90th minute goal for Atletico Madrid by Jimenez to win it. Absolutely great game. And this is another one of those situations. Such a good game. I would have been excited for the return fixture in Germany because this game happened to the Metropolitano and we're not going to get to see it. And that absolutely sucks. But what a game by those two. The new look Atletico Madrid, which isn't all that new look, but it's just a ton of new players. I don't know how to feel about it. Have you watched any of Atletico Madrid?
I have. I watched one.
What are your thoughts?
It was a little boring, the game that I watched, because they tied. But from now that they've had Julian Alvarez kind of adapt more to the tactical system, I have seen a little more from them in that sense. I think, and I said this before, with these new additions, I mean, especially now that Alvarez is adapting to the team, and then you have Gallagher, who also I think scored his first goal in the last match. I mean, I think that Atletico Madrid could be a problem this season. They could be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and I'm saying could because there's so many. It's so early to tell. But I mean, the Leipzig are a good team, but I don't feel that Leipzig are a great team. And they were missing certain pieces of their puzzles, like Simmons.
Simmons played
today. No, Simmons didn't play.
Yeah, he did.
Oh yeah, he did play. Yeah, I didn't see him. It's because he was a winger.
Yeah, he plays on the left wing for them.
I mean, Leipzig are a good team. I'm not trying to say they're not. I'm just saying I think Atletico Madrid, either way, it's early to tell, but I think they could be a problem this season. And I said it in the beginning of the season that these additions, even with Diego Simeone, who wasn't a great coach, I feel like he's onto something this season. I feel like he looks motivated this season, Diego Simeone, and he wants to play more than just what we typically would see from him. So, and then Llorente also great player. They got Lenormand now, who's a great center back. They have a good center back trio there, and they got the winger, the kind of right and left backs coming up and doing those runs and putting those balls in the box. And
it's a new look. It's a new look Atletico. They're not as contained. They're not as scared.
They could be dangerous this season.
Oh yeah, they were dangerous last season, but now they've got confidence.
Now they have speed.
That too.
They have players that are clinical, like Alvarez. And so, and a much stronger defense with Lenormand. And so I'm gonna go on a whim and say that Atletico Madrid are gonna do things this season that we previous seasons have not seen from them. That's how I feel about them. What do you think?
Really good. I think I still hate Diego Simeone. I still think that the way that he's playing with the way that he's playing against other teams is really disappointing. Like, again, it's Atletico Madrid's roster. Their team is really, really built well. And they've spent a ton of money. And they just don't have a manager to utilize those players. Because I still feel like while they are playing with more aggression, they're not playing scared. They're still playing too conservative. And I think that's the issue. I would like to see them get more aggressive. I like the fact that they're playing more of a 3 in the back instead of a 5 in the back, because that's what they played last year, was a 5 in the back. And they're not really doing that. They're playing with like legitimate wingbacks. The wingbacks are flying up the field more to become a part of the attack. So I'd love to see that, but while I agree with everything that you said, I think that they are playing much better. They have an opportunity to do some really, really dangerous things this year. I think all of those things are true. I still think that they are not maximizing their opportunities as a squad because of how conservative Simeone is as a manager. If they were to bring in somebody who has more, who isn't so scared to let his players just play, the way I look at it, I think that they're a manager away from really going and winning La Liga. Like, I legitimately think that. I think that they have the depth and they have the team to do it, and they just need to go get a manager who isn't going to be scared. But the problem is Diego Simeone has been so good for them that, like, historically, that you go, how do you fire that guy? You know what I mean? Even though he hasn't really done anything in the last couple of years with them in terms of major silverware. But that might be just my hate for Atletico Madrid. Like I said, I hate Atletico Madrid more than I hate Barcelona. I hate Atletico Madrid more than anything. But again, it was a fun game to watch. Another game that was incredibly fun, Atalanta versus Arsenal. Oh my gosh, what a fun game. I had both the Barcelona game and the Arsenal game because obviously I had to watch your favorite teams play. You know what I mean? Like, I was surprised. Didn't have a jersey to wear. You couldn't wear Arsenal because they didn't win. You couldn't wear Barcelona because they didn't win. Couldn't win Man City because they didn't win. None of your jerseys won, man.
Crazy, because I was talking all that smack this weekend about how they both won their respective games.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was talking all that smack, and then they go in the Champions League and both bomb. Well, at least Barcelona bombed. Arsenal, you can't say they bombed, but they didn't really do well. So, what did you think about that match? What did you think about
it? Was
really exciting that you saw a lot of chances. It was a nail biter.
Yeah, it was not a lot of chances. Both teams came in to play defense. This is another game where Arsenal, you can tell just how much Odegaard means to that team, because these are back-to-back games where Arsenal conceded possession. Because against Tottenham, they conceded possession and they walked away with a win because of a set piece. And to be fair, they almost walked away with a win because of a set piece on this game too. Like, to be very fair, Saka put a beautiful, beautiful ball right into the bottom left corner. It was phenomenal. That being said, Raya came in clutch, saved a pen for Arsenal. But Atalanta's serious. I didn't expect them to be as good as they played because they had a ton of turnover on their team. A lot of players left. A lot of players came back. Like, a lot of things happened on that team.
They definitely were all over Arsenal. I mean,
and
just looking at how many attacks they had, the ball, like, Arsenal didn't have control of the ball. It just seemed like Atlanta wanted this match more than Arsenal.
I think Arsenal came in scared because they don't have Odegaard. And you can just see just how important of a player he is. And, dude, I told you this at the beginning of the year. I told you this. What do Arsenal look like if they lose Saka? What do Arsenal look like if they lose Odegaard? We have no idea. And this is it. And, yes, they went out there and they beat Spurs. And I'm not going to take anything away from that. It is Spurs, but they are one of the top teams in England. I support Spurs. I get it. I didn't want to lose to Arsenal. That's fine. Even I can admit that Spurs is Spurs.
Yeah, but even if we analyze that Spurs game, they also weren't playing like themselves.
Conceded possession.
Like themselves anymore. Without Odegaard, without him being the creator, without him kind of doing those runs and creating that space, they do look lost. They do look like they're trying to just kind of take a step back from. They're looking for a result.
Yes, they're trying to walk away with a point instead of walk away with a win.
Yeah,
they're trying to say we're gonna try to get as much as we can. Whereas Arsenal look like, at least in the league, like they're trying to they should go for a win. And here's the thing: Arsenal don't get a break. Next game is against PSG in the Champions League.
Nope.
Like and I think Odegaard is going to come back, but it's 8 games for you to accumulate as many points as possible. That's not a lot of games. You can't be dropping points, especially if you want a first-round bye. Like, that's the thing that people need to remember with this new format. It's the round of 16 playoffs. 8 teams automatically qualify, and so they don't have to play the extra game. That matters. In a season that's this long with this many games, not having to play an extra game, that matters, and that matters in a big way. And so you can't be dropping points. Arsenal have ambitions to win trophies. I don't think they can, but that's
I think so. Arsenal are they do look lost. They need to find their footing and they need to find it fast because I mean, just these looking at these last 2 matches, and even though I was happy with the win against Tottenham, I was happy for them. I wanted them to beat Tottenham, and they did. They got the job done there. It wasn't convincing. It wasn't convincing at all by any means. And they are going to get Odegaard back here soon, but they need to find alternatives for him. This cannot be. You cannot rely on one guy. And I would know from experience because we relied a lot on Messi at points when Xavi and Iniesta were gone. And if Messi wasn't around, we weren't pulling matches. We weren't pulling wins. We were not ourselves. And that is a big problem. You need to find your identity as a team, and you need to do it without your star man. You got to. You have to. A few positives I want to take from this match. We got to see Sterling play. I feel like he actually didn't play a terrible match. He looked decent. Didn't look great. Looked decent. But there's not a lot of positives to take away yet from Arsenal. The biggest thing is they need to find their footing and they need to find it fast. I think one good positive thing is that a lot of the chances that they create are from set pieces. So that's going to help them out a lot in what they're doing right now, because if they're going to be playing defensive, they got to be able to score goals, and that's the way to do it. Defensively speaking, I think is also a positive.
Oh yeah, dude, they're still dominant on defense.
They've kept a clean sheet in the last 2 matches. Raya, I mean,
saving the pen, my guy.
I was not expecting that save.
Me neither.
Not from Raya. I was not expecting that save. I never really classified Raya as a great goalkeeper, but I think he's starting to prove himself with that save. But wow, amazing save from him. I think yeah. Again, Arsenal are playing well defensively, but they need to find solutions in their overall game, because this is, if they continue down this path, there will be no Premier League for them for sure. But I don't think their season's over. I think
no.
Odegaard is going to come back in October. His luckily his injury wasn't
a super serious one, though.
No, it wasn't a super serious one. It is disappointing that they got Mikel Merino and he's not going to play till like mid-October either. It says that his return date should be around October 20th, but another Tomiyasu and Zinchenko are also injured. But
are they really influenced
for the game?
Yes, they are, and that's the thing that I said is I said it last year. They were relatively healthy. What happens when they start getting the injury bug? What happens when key players start getting hurt? They got really lucky last year.
Also, a little disappointed that we haven't that he didn't start Calafiori.
Calafiori just came back from his injury, so that's where
I do like Timber though. I like the way Timber plays.
There's a lot of Arsenal fans that said that if Timber didn't get hurt last year, they would have won the league. That is an actual take from Arsenal fans.
Very, very good. And the thing is, he can play left back, he can play right back, he can play center back, he can play anywhere, and he can play good. That's the thing about Timber, man.
Mm-hmm.
He's like he's even got like he kind of looks like Dennis Rodman, and he plays a lot like Dennis Rodman. Now, man, look at him, see a picture of him, you'll be like, oh wow, that guy looks like a clean cut Dennis Rodman if Dennis Rodman hadn't have done a bunch of drugs. Anyway, he plays just like him. Very good defensively, very close, very good with the ball, aggressive, athletic prowess that not a lot of players have. I like him, and I think he's a great player. So,
before we end it, I want to pull up for everyone to see. Sorry, buddy, you can't see this, but this is the league table for the Champions League right now. Bayern Munich obviously set up top. The top 8 spots are Bayern Munich, Celtic, Leverkusen, Villa, Dortmund, Sparta Prague, Liverpool, Juve. The next 8, Real Madrid, Sporting, Benfica, Atletico Brest, Monaco, PSG, Arsenal. The next 8, Atalanta, Bologna, Inter, City, Shakhtar Donetsk, Barca, Leipzig, and then Sturm Graz, and then all the teams that lost down here. Belgrade, Girona, Eindhoven, Stuttgart, Milan, Lille, Club Brugge, Salzburg, Young Boys, Slovan Bratislava, and Feyenoord and Dynamo Zagreb. Those are all the clubs on the table. The new Champions League format, we got to give it some time. We have to see what happens there. We've got to see how it develops, and let's see if we get more games.
So far, I do agree that the rematch, the home and away rematch, is definitely
Or lack thereof.
Yeah, lack thereof. A home and away rematch is kind of disappointing.
I totally agree. But guys, let us know what you think about Match Day 1 in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit the like button when you're down there, and also hit the subscribe button to support the Tactical Foul podcast. My name is Tigo. That is my good friend Kevin. From all of us here at Tactical Foul, thank you for hanging out with us for the past 55 minutes. Get on out of here. We got more football to talk about next week.